Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Monday morning, political fighters. Welcome back. It's August 17th, 2026. And that's this edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is the number. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. And you can also check us out on WARR North Carolina and KTNF in Minnesota. Email me at richard@wcpta20.com and follow me on all the socials under Choose Views. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. That's where you get them. Choose Views, featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Patty Vasquez, driving it home. Edwin Eisendrath with It's the Democracy, Stupid. And the great shows on the weekends, like, in addition to Edwin's show, Out Chicago, and all of our others. The evenings, of course, the Politics Bar with the Politics Bar, the Matt McNeil Show, and the Gailey Show are our evening programs. So make sure you're checking those out. Over at Heartland Signal, I'm going to chat about this in a few minutes after the first break. But a couple of cool articles. One on Glenn Grothman, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. He says Congress isn't doing enough for the wealthy. Don't let anybody tell you people running Congress right now are looking out for the rich. Actually, we should do a little bit more for them. And he wasn't talking about the folks in Congress. He was talking about the rich. I'm going to lean into that in a little bit. One of the great articles that I highlighted. The other one is a Radio Free America post that we have there on how Ken Martin could fix the Democratic Party. Check both of those out. They're very well done, and they will be ones that you can like and share. Definitely pass along to the folks in your world. So that's the beauty of making your way over to heartlandsignal.com. On today's show, we will be talking with Sean McCann, who is the Michigan State Senator and candidate for U.S. House of Representatives in District 4 in Michigan. We're going to talk a little bit about Sean's race when he's on in the 6:30 hour and some of the other things that are happening overall with issues in Michigan. And then we're going to take your calls, 7 o'clock from 7 to 7:30. I want to get everybody fired up and ready to go this morning with some of the topics. And I'll give you a little bit of a headline of some of the things that you might want to call in on or talk about. My good friend, Amy McDonald, posted a really fantastic article on Here's the Thing on her Substack, which I'm going to chat about. Caitlin Collins and how she really puts it to Trump and his whole cabal in this Kennedy Center plan. Todd Blanche on his ability, or I shouldn't say his ability, his desire based on his actions to kind of tear apart the structure and the success of the DOJ. Ruben Gallego on Trump and Hegseth. Mike Johnson goes on Fox News. And we'll talk a little bit about Trump and this whole thing with his kids and the BBC. So any of those things that you guys will want to chime in on, we'll have them ready to go for you in the 7 o'clock hour. We've got a couple of clips as well. So just be prepared. Have your notebooks ready, as I say, because we may be talking about something that you'll want to go, what did he just say? Where did that come from? So anyhow, and then in the 7:30 hour, Mike Nellis will be with us, Democratic strategist and host of Endless Urgency with Mike Nellis. A couple of things that he's been working through and dealing with that we're going to chat about when we have Mike on in the 7:30 hour. And we may even take a call or two at that time, or we may keep some calls going. But definitely want to hear from you in that 7 to 7:30 window, because I want to get your thoughts on some of the topics that are of the day and things that may have taken place over the weekend. If you were here in Chicago this weekend, it was a pretty eventful, active weekend. We had the Air and Water Show. Friday, as I said, on Friday, they'd come blowing through and you hear them. Even a little bit on Thursday, you could hear them. But Saturday was interesting because I actually went to Aaron Water Show party that was at a friend's place that's in a high-rise downtown along the lakefront. And the food was great, but the visuals weren't because the clouds kind of moved back in, Devin. They had a couple of Century planes that came out to see if it was safe enough to fly, but it wasn't. So they weren't able to really get up and do any of the great stuff on Saturday. However, Sunday was a different story, and it was nice to see as the day went by that the Thunderbirds were able to kind of come through. It was really, really cool for the folks who were able to be along the lakefront. And we drove up and down the lakefront just to see, and boy, oh boy, folks were out sitting in the different parks and different venues and under trees and along the beach. It was one of those great things I love to see about Chicago. People that were out on boats, had them lined up from the museum campus all the way up as far north as I had seen, which is up far north as like Foster in that area. So it's cool. It was really nice to see the city out and appreciating that on Sunday. Weather cleared up, so we were able to enjoy one of the great events that takes place here in Chicago. And my wife and I watched a really interesting movie story on the Blue Angels, which you guys can go on to, whatever you stream and find it there. But it's a real good story on the Blue Angels, their history, and the different shows. They do 61 shows during the course of basically from February, I think it is from February till October. 61 shows. That's a lot. It talks a lot about their training. It talks a lot about their post posts of service at El Centro in California, and then where they get posted to. Real fascinating. I learned a couple things about how they train that you just go. You have one of those moments of additional respect for fighter pilots and the people that help put together the whole team of folks that are part of the Blue Angels. It was real cool to see. And in watching it, I looked over at my wife and I said, when you see the commitment and the strength and just the physical commitment, the mental commitment, the family commitment, all those things that these folks put in as being part of the Blue Angels team, the whole team, not just the pilots. And then you think you think about that in the greater context of our military, and you think, we got these knuckleheads in charge of our military right now. It actually choked me up a couple times because I got just a little ticked off that we have Trump, Hegseth, Marco, and all the rest of these fools putting people's lives at greater risk, and they don't really understand the commitment that these men and women have put in, and the folks on the ground as well as the people that are in the air. And I thought about the ship that's been out to sea for all these days without a port of call. And it just ticked me off to think that we've got a commander-in-chief and his team that's putting these men and women at further risk. So, watch it. It'll inspire you to see how hard these folks work. And you really think until you see something like this, and then you go, wow, it's at a whole different level. The training, the stuff that they do, that's, you go, okay, all right. But it did kind of tick me off that we have the leadership that we do right now. So there you go. What can I tell you? Question of the day. Speaking of the knucklehead in the White House. So based on the what I'll call hide the orange one in the catering container saga, we saw what happened with Caroline Leavitt deciding that she was going to spend more time with her children. Let me ask you guys this question. Based on this hide the orange one in the catering container, who do you think will be the next person to resign, or if there will be anyone at all that resigns over this debacle? Curious what you guys may have to say about that. Who do you think will be the next person to resign, or if there will be anyone at all that resigns in the face of this or during the timing of this situation with the let's hide the orange one in the catering container? That's what I'm calling it. Absolutely, I'm calling it that. So give us a call. Devin's going to open up the lines in a little bit at 773-763-9278. Or you can text us your thoughts. And by all means, go to our Facebook page and leave your thoughts and comments there. But I'm curious, who do you think will be the next person potentially to resign, if there will be anyone at all, based on the this hide the orange one in the container, catering container. Wow. What a chump. What a chump. Quick break, guys. 773-763-9278 is the number. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chew's Views. All right, guys, welcome back to Chew's Views. If you were just tuning in, a couple of quick Chew's Views news items of the things that took place over the weekend and this leading up to this week. Here on this August 17th, 2026, employers turn to other health benefits as plans and their costs start to climb, increasingly turning to health reimbursement arrangements over traditional health plans. That's what many employers are starting to do. More than 20,000 firms used HRAs in 2026, a 53% increase from a year before, according to the HRA Council. These plans give staff fixed stipends to buy individual coverage, often with higher deductibles and limited networks. Advocates say they can give employers more financial breathing room and employees more freedom to choose the health plans that best suit them. Influencers peddle the rich's tax tactics on social media. What's that all about? Social media influencers are beginning to bring sophisticated tax strategies once reserved for hedge funds and the ultra-wealthy to a mass audience. According to Bloomberg reports, YouTube, TikTok creators are promoting tax alpha, using losses in one investment to offset gains in another, potentially boosting after-tax returns. Some wealth management firms are even marketing the tactics to retail investors as a new revenue stream. But Bloomberg warns that the tools carry fees and complexity that can make them ill-suited for smaller portfolios, and that is correct. Broad-based investment advice isn't always the best advice. Trust me, I know. Interns are leading some of the projects as it comes to AI performing menial tasks. More summer interns are assuming workplace responsibilities traditionally reserved for employees, according to the Wall Street Journal. They're leading projects, working directly with clients, and flying to Europe. The shift comes as companies cut back on their internship programs, leaving fewer seasonal opportunities for students to earn professional experience. The ones that remain require some critical thinking or a human touch, while AI-powered automations perform mindless tasks that have traditionally occupied the intern's time. Gen Z is chasing financial freedom outside of the office place. More young adults are building businesses and starting side hustles instead of climbing the corporate ladder as an entry job, as those opportunities start to dry up. And the cost of living continues to climb. Over a recent 12-month period, applications by Gen Z adults to create new companies were about 66% higher over a 12-month period before that time. Micah Stanley, a 24-year-old former janitor, told Bloomberg his vape vending business makes about $75,000 per year in profit. The machines were able to set me free, he said, since the 2021 vending machine revenue has increased by an annual of 9%. And last but not least, air traffic controller does quite an adept bit of saving for a mid-air mix-up. A lot of words there. It could have been disastrous. However, a Phoenix air traffic controller is heard saying on an audio recording posted by ATC.com. The comment came after two American Airlines jets passed each other safely, despite the fact that they were mistakenly assigned the same flight number and were traveling in opposite directions along the same route at the same time. To keep them safe at a safe distance, the controller began referring to American 2482 on arrival and 2482 on departure. Probably saved some lives. So good on that air traffic controller. All right, guys, a couple of the quick Choose Views news items on this Monday, the 17th of August, 2026. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, for those of you listening to WCPT, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls and talking to Chris Bury, former TV newsman and recently retired DePaul journalism professor, and Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley. Live, Local, and Progressive weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal, and TuneIn. For our listeners this evening, tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by comedian Soli Santos and Evie Kaito. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And that's, of course, Patty is... She's pretty adept when it comes to talking to comedians because she's one herself. Tomorrow on Choose Views, Jamison Firestone will be with us, author of the memoir Rule of Lies, My Wild Ride Through Chaos, Corruption, and Murder in Putin's Russia. Anderson Clayton, chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, and Ohio Representative Donnie Isaacson, minority leader of the Ohio House of Representatives, will be with me. So, looking forward to all of our guests. And we'll give you guys a little bit of a reminder of that again later in the show. So there you go. This week, man, oh man, oh man. Just heard about what's happening tomorrow with Jamie and Anderson and Leader Isaacson. Phil Andrew will be joining us on Wednesday, and Kurt Mullet, of course. Greg Pallas will be with us. David Zhang, Ann Kim, Adam Klatsfeld, Karen Byrne, Amy McDonald will be with us at the end of the week, and Representative Sean Casten. So we've got a lineup of folks that will be joining us. Looking forward to chatting with them. So there you go. All right. I said earlier I wanted to talk a little bit about something that was said by a current sitting member of Congress, Glenn Grothman. Today's segment of Something to Chew On. Grothman is the congressman that said that, as I said earlier, that there weren't enough people being helped, rich people specifically, by Congress. His comments were actually, Congress isn't doing enough for the wealthy. Don't let anyone tell you the people running Congress right now are looking out for the rich. Actually, I think we should do a little more for them. Okay, Glenn, let's get into this. First of all, what is it that you would want to do for those who you think are not getting enough done for them? And specifically, what is it that what hasn't been done at this point? They've received tax cuts. They've received different breaks. They oftentimes are allowed to increase their staffing without increasing the compensation for the staff if they run a business. But in many cases, these are just people who, if they have found wealth, meaning that they have wealth that they inherited, they have they have the benefit of a tax system that says that your inheritance tax can be reduced, or you will pay less over time in the monies that you've inherited. So I'm just trying to figure out, what does it mean should do a little more for the rich? We've proven over time, Glenn Grothman, that this whole concept that Reagan tried to push on us about the trickle-down theory or trickle-down economics would benefit so many more people. But in fact, it never really has. Not to the level that it was sold to us by Reagan and his administration. That didn't take place. So again, Glenn, I want to know, what is it that we should be doing more? Do you have some specifics? Because nothing that we've done collectively as a country for the rich has done anything that particularly helps the masses. Again, it's been proven that the trickle-down form of economics does not work. It did not work in the 80s. Passing it forward into the 90s didn't work. It didn't work in the 2000s. It hasn't worked. So what else is there that we should be giving them? More adulation for the so-called greatness that they supposedly represent? That's a fool's game. So I'm just curious, can somebody tell me what Glenn Grothman means? Does Glenn even know what he means? Because as I look at it, there are some things that the wealthy could actually be doing more to actually help the country. For example, systemic tax reforms. If they're so great at creating jobs, then how about doing it in a sustained way? How about taking those tax breaks and those tax abatements that municipalities give you and making the jobs or allowing for the jobs that are supposedly create to be there and be sustainable for a longer period of time? How about getting involved and working collectively to help fund large-scale public infrastructure? How about that? Because in many cases, your wealth has been has come from what many municipalities have given you. Meanwhile, those same tax breaks could have gone to everyday citizens. So, supporting fair taxation, closing loopholes on our economic policy, improving workforce standards, these are just a few. Reducing some of the impacts on the environment. If that wealth is so powerful, then why don't you use it in a way to benefit more people? But I have a suggestion for the voters in Wisconsin when it comes to Glenn Grothman. How about you send him a message and vote him out? How about getting behind Brad Smith for Congress? Brad Smith is an educator. He is running for that same seat that Grothman is in right now. And these are some of the things that Brad stands for. He's a veteran, a dad, a business leader. And just to give you guys a couple of those items: good jobs and fair wages, better healthcare system, education and training for every path and choice of career, controlling the AI and data centers, sustainability, conservation, and clean energy, and making sure that housing is affordable as we increase wages for people that work in Wisconsin. So rather than believing what Grothman says, we don't have to fight him on that. Let him have that belief. How about we just decide to get behind Brad Smith and elect him to this congressional seat? Then we would hopefully not have to deal with some of these Republicans who think that folks in Congress should be getting a little bit more. That's today's segment of Something to Chew On. We'll take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chew's Views. All right, guys, welcome back to Chew's Views. Thanks for hanging out with us. We love it when you guys are here, and we appreciate your comments, your texts and your calls. Give us a holler regarding my thoughts about the catering container saga. But in the meantime, we're going to talk to someone who's getting it done in one of our great Midwestern states. We've had this gentleman on before. He is currently one of the great state senators in Michigan, but he is now making the push for Congress. And he won the Democratic primary in Michigan's 4th Congressional District. Welcome back to the show, Michigan State Senator Sean McCann. Good morning, Senator. Welcome back.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me back. It's great, Richard. Yeah,
man. First of all, big applause to you for getting it done in the primary, and now you're going to face Huizenga in the general, if you will, and just bring us up to speed on your campaign and how everything went, how you're feeling right now as we go forward.
Yeah, thank you so much. Michigan's across the lake from you, as you know, one of the states that has some of the latest primaries in the country. So it was just not quite 2 weeks ago that we held our primary here and got everything settled for the final ballot in November. And I did have a primary, and we've been very focused on the incumbent congressman here, Bill Huizenga, but good outcome to make sure that I had advanced through that process to be on the ballot now, and happy to be officially the candidate, and still a candidate that's named by the DCCC on the red to blue list. So I've been one of the targeted candidates. This race is one of the top targeted in the country for a seat to flip in Congress, and we are looking to get it done. And the biggest thing I think that matters at this point, the urgency, is not just that November happens in about 2.5 months, but Michigan starts early voting in late September. So one of the best things we did in our state was get rid of, you had to give a reason, to vote absentee. I'm going to be out of town or something like that. Now anyone can vote early in Michigan, and about 60% of people do. now in the primary. 60% of people voted early, and so we are needing all the energy, all the support, all the help we can get, because really it starts before November 3rd.
Well, and that's good to know. I wasn't fully aware of that, and it's nice to know that we have that opportunity for voters, and certainly for you that are running, because it puts you in a position where you've got so many more opportunities to talk. I guess late's not bad. It does give you a little bit more, window to communicate with the voters. But tell us, if you can, Senator, what you see as Bill Huizenga's shortfalls, shortcomings, negatives, things that I mean, I know you've been one to campaign on your strengths. What am I going to do versus, as I like to say, the opponent is stinky. What are his things, his qualities, his shortcomings that you've been able to juxtapose against what your strengths are as a candidate?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's really almost two sides of a coin, but here we are, nearly 2 years into the Trump administration, and Congress being in the majority Republican to support the president. And, your costs have not gone down, folks. This is what the president said he would do on day one. This is what I would have presumed a friendly Congress would have helped the president do since day one. But instead, we've got a congressman here, Bill Huizenga, who has been the rubber stamp for whatever the president wants to do. And those are the things that he supports, like the tariffs we've had since the start of this administration, support from Congressman Huizenga, the war in Iran, and the effect it's having on all our daily lives, on our costs, on the gas pump, on groceries, support from day one. You just go down the line, how it goes and affects fertilizer, how this Congress has voted to cut health care of constituents and people across the country. And you've seen energy costs do nothing but go up. Housing costs are up. What happened? Where did the promise to do something about these things go? And this is a congressman who, very recently has started making the sounds of he's interested and concerned about affordability, but doesn't have the record to back it up. And the other side of the coin is, in Michigan, I've worked as an elected official locally and at the state level to provenly bring costs down to the extent that we can in Michigan. We expanded affordable health care in Michigan. We cut taxes for working families and senior citizens. We've done a lot of things in the state of Michigan to help make life easier for people in our state, but we're fighting against this huge headwind that comes from the federal government. And, it just tells me it's time for a change. That's what the voters get to do now as we get to be 10 weeks from Election Day, is decide, is this what we want the country to do? Is this the Congress we want? Are these the policies we want? Or are we ready for a change here? And it starts right here in this race in Southwest Michigan.
Yeah, and one of the things that a lot of people are saying to me, I get these in terms of communications to the show, I get the emails from listeners, is they want to see Democrats fighting, quote unquote, harder, or what might be better defined, Senator, is fighting with a little bit more passion and a word I'll make up, piss-offedness at what Republicans, who are rubber stamps, like you just described Huizenga as, and really being willing to just call it out real time and maybe letting go a little bit of the so-called decorum, but just calling a lie, calling the garbage. And are you seeing that when you talk about your colleagues, other folks that are running, are you seeing that is been ramped up, that more Democratic candidates, whether it be in Michigan, whether it be in other places that you heard folks are running, are you seeing that? Are you feeling that? Is that something like, you're ready to go and not literally punch, but punch the issues and say, I'm what is the phrase from the movie? I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Absolutely. This is a moment to meet for candidates, and based on where they're coming from, I think that the voters and people who are passionate about wanting to see people have a chance at a better life in our country are seeing this. We've seen people at rallies, that aren't necessarily. I can tell you stories. Lots of people who say either I'm not, a traditional Democrat, and I showed up at an Oak Kings rally, or I'm not someone who's ever engaged in the political process before. I've never knocked on a door or made a phone call. And everywhere I go, all the people I talk to, I'm seeing this energy, and it's absolutely critical that they find candidates for office that are there to step up to those issues and show that they have the fight in them to go to bat for everyday regular Americans, not the people at the top of the world, not the billionaires and the big corporations who are all making out fine right now. It is time for, someone like myself, who's a regular guy, a soccer dad. I got 2 kids. I got bills. I got a grocery bill going up every week. We see these things here, and we want a chance at a better life. And I know that my friends and neighbors want that chance as well. But it just seems like the deck keeps getting stacked against regular folks, and that it's harder and harder to get your kids to sports and afford a car, get housing, buy a house for the first time. We're at 40 years old. 40 years old is the first age that we're now at, the average age in America, where you buy your first house. So to all of that, I say absolutely. The voters expect this. They're upset about it. They want candidates who are going to do the things that they're expecting them to do that hasn't been done in the last 20 months.
Yeah, and it would only get worse if we don't take back the House and in the Senate. It's only going to get worse if we don't win those 2 back. If we think that what Donald Trump has been doing has been crazy this last 18 months, it's only going to get worse between the midterms and when he's out of office. And so that's why I asked the question about the fight, because I get that so many times. People want Democratic candidates and those who are currently sitting in office to be willing to fight and to not worry about the decorum so much, Senator, but to fight for the people that you do talk to in the neighborhoods and in the communities, which leads me to a question I want to ask you. And with the stories that you've gotten and you've seen, you've heard, and all the rest, what has been, what comes to mind quickest is probably the best way to ask this question. When you think about that story that really just hit you in the gut when you were out campaigning and you talked to someone, and how you responded, to that story or that thing that someone came up and grabbed your arm and said, "Senator, this is what's going on in my world." What's that story look and sound like, and how did you respond?
Yeah, I met a voter in Battle Creek, our Cereal City, USA here, which is part of the 4th Congressional District. Your Frosted Flakes, your Corn Flakes all come from there, and headquarters of Kellogg, and met a voter there some months ago, and this was when Congress had failed to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Mm-hmm. And she said to me that her premiums were going to go up 300%. Based on the plans that she had laid plans for her budget and how healthcare was going to cost, and now those premiums were going up 300% because of Congress's failure to extend those tax credits. And that has stuck with me this whole time because I'm one of the people who, as a state representative in Michigan, over 10 years ago, helped vote to expand health care in Michigan by expanding Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. And it was bipartisan. And since that time, over 1 million people in Michigan got health care coverage in an affordable way. And then that story, in Battle Creek has stuck with me ever since, that this is the car going in the wrong direction. This is a Congress and a congressman that has voted to take health care away from people, and that this is going to impact lives, impact pocketbooks of everybody. And it just, I tell the story all the time. And this is not the only constituent or story that I've heard about this. I hear from folks every day worried about health care and affordable health care. And so those are the things that stick with me on the campaign trail.
Yeah, that's important to hear. Thank you for that. We're going to take a quick break, Senator. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chew's Views. All right, guys, welcome back to Chew's Views. If you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chew, and we're talking with Michigan State Senator from the great, I like to say from the great state of Michigan, can't just say Michigan State Senator Sean McCann. Senator, tell us a little bit about the district, referred to as Pottawatomie, if I'm correct. Tell us about the district. What's the geography of it, so that voters who may have just been tuning in have a better idea of where that district lies.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're in Chicago. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, and Kalamazoo is where I live, halfway in between those two on a straight east to west line, a little bit of Lake Michigan along the way there. And the district goes from that Kalamazoo and Cereal City, Battle Creek, west to Lake Michigan, where we have the cities of St. Joe and Benton Harbor, and then it goes up our beautiful Lake Michigan lakeshore to a city called Holland, which is sort of, if you think Holland, Netherlands, it's very similar in a lot of ways. And then it basically comes back down to Battle Creek, Kalamazoo. It's sort of a bit of a triangle in southwest Michigan, and this is the district that very much could flip the House in November, and we are all ready to go. It is 2 weeks to back to school here in Michigan, and then we know that a lot of voters really come back from their vacations and their lakeshore beach trips and are paying attention to what's going on, and here we go. So that's the district I hope to represent. I've had a big chunk of it as part of the honor to represent a lot of people already in that district, the Kalamazoo Portage area, as the current state senator, and hoping I get the chance to serve and have some town hall meetings, which this congressman currently has never done since 2018. Some public availabilities, things like that, things you'd expect your elected official to do and just don't get done right now.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I love Michigan. I'm a Michigander and an Illinoisan because I grew up in both areas, south side of Chicago and southwestern Michigan. So I'm very familiar. And, the state has meant a lot to me. And that's one of the reasons that I've been pushing so hard for the folks that are running for office there. You've got a big Senate race that's taking place that no one that's paying loose attention to cannot be aware of. While between now, Dr. El-Sayed and another rubber stamp, potential rubber stamp, and Mike Rogers. So I'm going to ask you, because I know that you guys have to share some ideas every now and again, or at least share some support. Tell us about your observation as someone that's running for Congress, how important that Senate seat, that Senate race is, because this is not one we're picking up. It's one that we've got to hold.
Yeah, it's a critically important Senate race, and obviously, as you know, there was a big primary for that. This is a hold seat. If there's hope of Democrats winning the U.S. Senate back, this seat here in Michigan that's open, it's Gary Peters is our retiring U.S. Senator, has to be won in order for a couple of other states to be flipped, Maine being one of those critical seats, and a couple others on the board. So, we have a big ticket. We have everything actually open and up for election in Michigan. It's a rare occurrence where we have that seat, the U.S. Senate seat statewide. We have governor and attorney general and secretary of state, our statewide open seats. And then all of, obviously, the U.S. House seats are open, along with our state legislative seats. All of the state Senate seats and the state House seats are open. So it's a huge. We've been a purple and important state on the map for a long time, and and it's no different this fall. And a lot of things are going to be set in motion and decided on November 3rd.
Yeah, it is. And that's why, I've been really focused on talking about what's happening in Michigan, because it's one of the few states that's got so many moving parts in terms of from the, governor's mansion through the state legislature, as well as the congressional seats that will have such an impact on Michigan, obviously, Senator, but also for the rest of the country. And that's why, I've been an advocate for people that are in California, or they're in Maine, or they're in Florida, or the state of Washington, to get involved in races that are outside of your area, so that we can, have this type of an impact that your seat will have, that the Senate seat will have, because it represents a shift for the country, not just the state of Michigan. And so I've been doing everything I can to have conversations with folks like you in this space. What if you were to use the word momentum, Senator, what would you say the momentum is right now in two ways? Your race, but then the country at large. What do you see in terms of our ability to actually do what you said a moment ago, which is to take back some of these leadership roles? What are you seeing is the momentum?
Yeah, I think that people are fed up and ready for a change. I think that they've seen this, to be polite, this incivility that's come from Washington, D.C., this really self-serving corruption that D.C. is broken, and that there's got to be a need for a really changing of the deck with the people in charge in Washington, D.C., and that comes about through this election. And I feel there's momentum. You mentioned your Chicago area listeners. Hopefully they're tuning in, and we've actually had people come over to Michigan because it's not that far away. They've come to Southwest Michigan here to get involved, to knock on doors and have real conversations face-to-face with voters. People across the country can, use technology now to make calls to voters anywhere they want, or send postcards to people here in Kalamazoo or St. Joseph or Benton Harbor to say, please make sure you make a plan to go out and vote here starting on September 24th in Michigan. So there are lots of ways for people who want to engage, and maybe they're happy with the representatives that they have now, like in Chicago or Illinois, but they really want to make a difference here in Michigan. They can join. All the folks that are engaged here have been, marching in the streets, have been ready to bring about finally this change that's pent up. People who are upset with the way things are going in D.C. This is the chance. This is the window. We need people to engage right now.
Yeah, I will tell you this. I'm one of those people that does exactly what you just said in terms of putting in some work over in southwestern Michigan for that very purpose, because it's near and dear to me and so many family members and friends and all the rest that do come over from Chicago to that part of the state. So we get it. We believe in it, and we're putting the work in as well. And there are a lot of people in northwestern Indiana, which has historically been more moderate, progressively moderate politically, that I see that are doing a lot of the same work too. So I think it's because people believe in what's happening there and what you're representing and what others in the state that are running for office are representing. So thanks for that reminder. Senator, one of the things that a lot of people don't know or are aware of, is maybe a better way of putting this, is the incredible environmental impact that Michigan has. And I guess when you think about how much water plays into our environment here in the Midwest, but particularly with the state of Michigan, you've really leaned in hard on that being a top issue for you, is making sure that our environment is preserved there in the state of Michigan and that the data centers are not taking over. Share a little bit about your stance and your plan in that space.
Yeah, we've had. This is the Great Lakes are the largest freshwater body, one of the largest in the world, and it is critical that we preserve it. And there's been ideas for water diversion away from the Great Lakes to other states that are thirsty for water, and that's certainly something that's a non-starter for me. And I live in a community named after Kalamazoo, the Kalamazoo River, and our lakes and streams streams are plentiful here, and we have an obligation to protect those natural resources. And that has been something I've worked on since I was a local elected official as a Kalamazoo City Commissioner, and we started having to deal with what to do with these things called PCBs that had accumulated in our water. And we had an oil spill from Enbridge on the Kalamazoo River, one of the largest inland oil spills ever, that put oil right into our Kalamazoo River just as it was starting to recover from some of these other issues like PCBs. Then you have PFAS, right? These forever chemicals that persist through water, and even when they're in landfills, they come back into the water. So we've done a lot in Michigan to protect our water and to go after the polluters that have created these situations that have threatened our natural resources. And that doesn't change with a data center or a economic development project, a battery plant. We're always committed to making sure that people are not extracting or taking advantage of our natural resources here. And that's something I've got a long record of doing, like I said, since the days of my being a local official. And, the corporations in D.C. that are getting the help from this Congress and this president and, support to make their big profits are looking to take advantage of these kinds of things wherever they can. And we're not going to let that happen here in Michigan.
Right on, Senator. So for folks that want to get involved wherever they are in the four corners of the country and everything in between, how can they find you and how can they get involved from afar in your campaign for Congress?
Yeah, thanks so much. It's Sean McCann for Congress, website, social media, easy to find. But you are going to look for the Congress piece, not the official state senator side, if you want to engage in this campaign here from near or far. And we will take all and every ounce of help we can get because that's what it's going to take to bring about some change this fall in our country.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Senator McCann, for hanging out with us this morning. We'll definitely have you back on again as we get closer to the election, but stay strong and stay focused and know that the folks here in Chicago and the rest of the folks that listen to our show all over the country, we've got your back, okay?
Real pleasure to be with you always. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, guys, there you go. I mean, he's in the fight. And I know that a lot of people are asking the question, who are we sending? Who are we going to have as our fighters? Who's going to be the strong voices? And I believe he is one of them. And Huizenga is going to be a rubber stamp, like he said. So quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chew's Views.
From the headlines to the heart of the city,
Richard Chew breaks it all down.
you're back on Chew's Views.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us this morning. We're going to grab a few calls in a little bit. But I want to highlight some articles and some top conversations that have been had recently. One of them is from our good friend Amy McDonald, who, as you know, is the Foolish Optimist. That's her podcast. And like our good friend Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics podcast, they post some really great articles, as well as our good friend Kurt Mullet from Hoosier Blue 63 on Substack. So follow them. Here's the thing is Amy's Substack. And she talks about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And as you know, she's been working with Ashley Bell's campaign down in North Carolina's 10th District. And she had the opportunity to hear a recent speech and speaking from some of the civil rights voices that are really leading the way and have led the way for a long time, but are leading the way now. One of them is Dawn Blagrove. This is a speech that Amy sort of broke down, and she's the executive director of Emancipate North Carolina. And so it's something you guys should really sort of plug into if you really want to get a sort of a peek into what folks are doing in states other than the one that you may actually live in and vote in. And she talked about being at an event called Freedom Rising. And she was able to hear some of the historical perspectives about the civil rights movement. Ordinary people doing ordinary things. And she mentioned Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, the SNCC, also known as SNCC, Rosa Parks. And they all were ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And Amy really kind of leans into the fact that we, and I talk about this, and this is one of the reasons why we're going to play a couple of clips in this segment. Amy said, it just slapped me like a ton of bricks. I almost cried, not because I didn't know it, but because of where we're living today. It's exactly why I make the content I make, to remind every single person that the people who came before us were regular people who built undeniable movements. They created lasting change that we still feel today. She says, I've said this nearly 1,000 times, the reason we continue to be divided, the reason the wealthiest and the most powerful one is separated, be it class, creed, religion, or otherwise, is because when we join in community, when we work together, we remember how powerful we are. And a people-powered movement is a threat. It's a threat to the status quo. It's a threat to the worldview we've operated under for so long, that many of us were raised and propagandized around. So kudos to Amy McDonald. Check out her work and her article at Substack. It's entitled Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. So in that context about, ordinary people or folks that are running for office right now, most recently you guys may have seen or heard, what Jon Ossoff, who's running for senator in Georgia, has been doing. And he's been taking it to power in many ways, and his very subtle way of presenting it, but whether it's been during a hearing or whether it's been during a rally, he's been, unapologetic. And I think this is going back to what I was saying earlier with State Senator in Michigan, Sean McCann, about Democrats fighting in a way that people can latch on to. So let's play that clip for them, Devin. Okay, we're gonna get to it. That's all right. No big deal. We'll get to it in a second. So the reason I wanted to highlight that is we've got so many people who are asking, and I get text messages from you guys, I get emails, and I get other communication that said, are our folks fighting? And I believe that we are, and I think that's one of the reasons that we have been winning like we have. Can we grab the call real quick from Andre? Yeah, that works. Let's do that. Hey, Andre, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning to you, Mr. Chu. Happy Monday to you.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to answer one of your questions there. I think you said who I think might be the next to resign. For a minute, I certainly thought that Jeanine Pirro would resign from her position because of how Trump beat her up for being honest. You can't win with this guy. Honesty is a problem with this guy. He doesn't like honesty, and so I think that she might have been dignified enough to step down. But I would think she might be the next if he keeps it up.
That's interesting. I hadn't even thought about her. That's because right. She, we dislike a lot of the things that she said and done, but she did speak the truth about this case with regard to the reflecting pool, that there really was no case there. And everybody that you listen to or may have talked to that's a good prosecutor knows that you don't bring a case that you know that you can't really truly get through the first stages of an actual prosecution. So, Jeanine Pirro. Okay, we'll keep that one on the list.
Yeah, so I didn't have a chance to talk with you about Ms. Hung when she lost her race. Mm-hmm. So I took issue with that, Mr. Chu, because of this polls, these political polls. They can take polls on health and stuff, but I personally think that those political polls should be outlawed 3 months out, 3 months before an election, because they had her up. Hung was up by 20, and she lost. And it was said that people are gambling on politics now. They're gambling on these elections. So I think the polls can be manipulated and they should be outlawed because they've caused some severe harm. You might have heard me say before that this insurrection on January 6th, I think, was stemmed from the polls because a lot of those people actually believe that it was stolen because the polls in some places had Trump winning. And when it didn't happen, then they kind of went ballistic over it just as he did. It had him fooled as well. And then also concerning the polls, I hope that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez does not take the bait because they're trying to get her in these polls. They constantly brainwashing her, telling her, well, you're the number one runner-up for president. Well, my thing is this. If Hillary Clinton couldn't win for president, Kamala Harris couldn't win for president, what would make Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez think that she could win for president? So she needs to rebuke that and not take the bait and get out there and make some mistakes and say some things, because I know people might not agree with me, but if the Democrats do not win in the midterms, I would have to blame some of that stuff on the socialists, not because they're socialists, but how they say things. You don't say things like you want to get rid of Thanksgiving when I'm pretty sure 80 or 90% of Americans celebrate Thanksgiving. So you don't say those type of things. You don't talk about abolishing this, abolishing that, closing down prison. You don't say those type of things. This midterm is serious. We don't have no time for no experimentations. We have to be about the business so that we can put some restraints on this president. Last thing, Mr. Chu, if the Democrats do take over, I hope they hold hearings on this shadow docket.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has used this shadow docket more than 3 presidents combined. And I think they ought to hold hearings on it and make those Supreme Court justices give justifications why they ruled the way they did on these shadow dockets. Because, of course, you know what shadow docket is. It doesn't undergo any type of scrutiny like the merit docket does. Nope. And so if they take over, I hope those are just some of the things that they jump in, hold hearing. And I wish they have a hearing on Cassidy, too. Cassidy that voted for Ted Blanche. They need to hold some hearings to find out if he was threatened or he was bribed or what made him change his vote. Because there's 2 times that he done came through for them, Cassidy did. And I don't like it. It something smells funny about him at the last minute going along with Blanche. I just didn't like that.
A lot of people have said the same thing, and I'll try to go in reverse order regarding Blanche and this vote. I didn't trust any of the Republicans that were playing the game, that they were going to be sort of the arbiters of what makes sense, and this is what's truthful, and is the slush fund real or not. I didn't believe any of them. Cassidy, I didn't believe. Tillis, I didn't believe Cornyn, because they were all playing games to provide cover for other Republicans that may have needed to vote a certain way. And they showed up just like they have in the past. There was nothing different. This was the same old play. They just ran it. They ran it on the right side of the field rather than the left side of the field. But it was the same, formation. So I look at that Blanche thing that way, and I'm kind of with you in part in terms of what was going on behind the closed doors that got them to vote the way that they did. Yes, I hear you. Regarding the shadow docket versus non-merit orders, all this that Professor Andre is bringing to us this morning. These are all things that are the benefit of us winning back the House and the Senate. When someone says my vote doesn't count or matter, that's foolishness, because right now what Andre just said, we get to do all of those things when we have those levers of power back. And then last but not least, Andre, regarding the polls, the polls have been, I don't excuse people's behavior for doing certain things like cracking a window and climbing in it, because that's not the way to fix democracy or to fix an election that you think wrongly was messed up in 2020. But at the same time, I do think that on the polling statement that you made, that is something that we do have to maybe revisit. How long should the polls really matter? It's almost like polling, that at election sites, having signs and campaign material, which viewed as campaigning at election sites or polling places, is not allowed. And I say that broadly. I think that polls should be under a similar scrutiny that says that at a certain point, the polls cannot be made part of the process, because that, to me, is another form of election campaigning. And I think it has had its impact on certain elections, certainly in the last decade. But there you go.
Yeah, that's right. In the same vein, Mr. Chu, when my father was living, I used to watch football games on TV with him all of the time. There was a such thing as called good sportsmanship, and there was no gambling. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I still watch sports from time to time, but I don't look at it like I used to because of the gambling that's in, and I don't know if it's good sportsmanship or they trying to throw a game. I just don't know it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't trust all of this stuff with this. They gambling on the sports, they gambling on the football, they gambling on the politics. It's like people don't have any trust in things no more. But my final thing is that polls. I mean, we need to find a way to put some limitation that you can't predict an election 3 months out and then let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andre. Thanks for your call as always. Guys, let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chu's Views. Guys, welcome back to Chu's Views. If you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to Andre for always bringing us some different angles of ways of thinking about topics that are important to us. And so thank you, Andre, for that. I think we have a clip that we'll be able to play from Jon Ossoff.
And there's something uniquely despicable about lying a nation into war. Treating citizens as fools and those who serve as pawns. Aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, they've now been at sea for 240 plus days without a port call. It's a Navy record. And still they serve with excellence. And still they serve with excellence. God bless the sailors, Marines, aviators, and all aboard the United States ship Abraham Lincoln. See, they don't expect luxury. They'll endure hardship. But they deserve competent leaders who send them into combat only when necessary, and with decisive clarity of purpose, not fools who lie about the purpose and progress of war. And while the sailors on the Lincoln fight his war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. He golfs and trades stocks. See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace gifted by the Emir of Qatar.
All of that is great. And certainly those who want to poke some fun and some sarcasm, necessary sarcasm, at Trump. The last couple of sentences were spot on. That was, I think, great of Senator Ossoff to kind of jab the Jabba the Hutt one in the side about his, hangings out with his assistant. So don't know if there's a story there or not, and I don't speculate when it comes to that stuff, but it is interesting that I'm not the only one that's thinking it. And when a U.S. senator says it in front of a few thousand people, there's probably more to it than just that which meets the eye. So we'll see. But the bigger picture is how this president's ineffectiveness in the time of what we have to refer to as a war has given, and I was talking with a friend about this weekend. The container thing is a bigger issue than a lot of people. The reason that it's a big issue, and it's an important issue, is as I'm seeing it, and I'll probably speak to this again, it shows a couple of things. One, it shows the American people, once again, that this person has no clue of how to navigate situations that are challenging. None whatsoever. And he's proven it on so many different fronts, economically, on social issues, things within his own party. And now that we're at war, traversing, on a container, and then having our armed forces. I mean, the whole reason that there's now attention on this subject around the battleship is because families brought it to the table. And the press got involved, but families were the ones that were complaining and concerned. That's not because, so Hegseth and Trump and Rubio, they weren't the ones to bring it out and say, we've got something that we're taking care of. And now they're stepping up like they're the heroes. They always get caught with their shorts down. And then they step in like we're the heroes to a fire that they created. So this situation shows how inept that they are at dealing with crisis moments or issues where a crisis was upon us. And everything that they've touched, including this war, are an example of that. And then we get into this conversation around what our allies are thinking. This is what my friend and I were talking about this weekend. What our allies are looking at and saying, God, I can't wait till this is over. Our enemies are saying, wow, these guys are pretty vulnerable. And neither of those is a good thing to be said about what supposedly is the strongest country on the planet, and what supposedly is the strongest military on the planet, and all the rest of the, self-aggrandizing statements that we, put on ourselves. I don't know. It's mind-boggling in some ways. But to that end, I want to focus on one other thing in the clip that we have as it relates to coming together. When Tallarico won in Texas, Jasmine Crockett stepped up quickly and said, we're together on this. We have to win this seat. In Michigan, when Dr. Syed won the primary, both Haley Stevens and Mallory McMorrow, as we've said before, stepped up quickly and said, we've got to get behind Dr. Syed and win this seat. And now in Wisconsin, and this is why you guys have got to pay attention to these things and understand the importance of us getting behind our candidate when they win. No matter who it is on our side, we have to get behind that person and stop all this little fiddling around. And Andre just spoke about Francesca Hong in Wisconsin and David Crowley, who won that seat in Wisconsin. What did they do? They decided that it was about Democratic unity. So, Devin, let's hit them with that quick clip.
Francesca Hong, of course, your opponent, who you narrowly defeated last night. I mean, she endorsed you. You held 2 unity events today. That's very quick unity work there for 2 people who just ran against each other. And you've also teased a unity tour along with Hong. But tell us more about your strategy to win over her supporters, because there are a lot of them out there, a lot of people who were excited about her candidacy. You're going to need to win over before November.
Well, we may not agree on everything, but I think that we can all agree on the fact that we need to defeat any MAGA extremist that's going to be trying to occupy our governor's office. And so to be able to go out, not just with her, but as well as, Joel and Kelda, who was also in this race, it's extremely important for all of us. And so we know that it's not just about talking about ideologies, it's talking directly to the values that people have and how they want to keep working families at the center of every discussion. And so no matter where you are on this political spectrum, especially within the Democratic Party, we need you. And so we are a Big Tent. Our job is to make sure that we can corral about the ideas and the goals that we have with one another, but also understanding that there's always going to be some level of disagreement.
And that's exactly the position that we have to take. We don't need to agree on everything. I have great friends that I don't agree with on everything, and neither should we. We should challenge each other and respect and recognize we have different perspectives. But if our goal is to get to the finish line together, then that's what should matter more than anything else. Democrats do not take the words and the advice and the suppositions from anybody that is GOP or MAGA. Do not listen to them right now. Their goal is to continue to separate us and to divide us. I don't want any of us to do that. The infighting, literally, I said this before, and I'll say it again, and Mike Nellis, who will be with us shortly, may have some perspective on this. Now is not the time for the infighting. When a person goes on any program and says Democrat first, uses Democrat, it should be Democrats are about winning. Democrats are about helping you as voters. Democrats are about bettering this country. We can't be talking about, well, the Democrats should be doing this, and I have to even check myself in that space. So when we hear things like what David Crowley said about us coming together, and we hear what Senator Sean McCann said in Michigan about that, what Dr. Syed has said, what Troy Jackson said in Maine, what Roy Cooper's saying down in North Carolina, and what James Tallarico was saying in Florida, in Texas, and even what David Jolly said in Florida. That's the message. So anybody out there that needs to continue to just throw darts at what the Democrats are trying to do right now, don't be part of the problem. Help us be part of the solution to win and be coming together. That's the message. Let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chew. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chew's Views. All right, guys, welcome back to the show, Chew's Views. If you're just tuning in, and I see my, I see the rhythm of the night in the back. What is that? That's from that. Oh gosh, it's a movie. I can't call it right now, but that's okay.
Am I allowed to talk now, or do I have to pretend like I'm not here?
Well, don't say anything just yet. That voice that you heard in the background was dancing with me on camera, so that's why I made the comment that I made. That you guys were like, "What the hell is Richard talking about this morning?" All right, it's been a minute, but he's back hanging out with us. We both got the memo to wear blue this morning, so there we go. And he's got a number 2 pencil in his hand that he probably wants to jam in somebody's ear right now, and it ain't mine. But don't tell me I'm wrong, Mike Nellis. Good morning, man. Welcome back to the show.
Might jam it in my own ear so I don't have to hear any of this anymore. It's good to see you, buddy. Not only did we get the memo on the blue shirt, but for folks who can't see it, we literally have the same color background too.
Yes, we do. And we were dancing. It was a John Candy movie. That's where it was. That's what you just in that moment reminded me of one of the moves that John Candy did in one of his movies. So there you go.
That's great. Have you just as an aside before we get into actual politics, have you watched the John Candy documentary that Ryan Reynolds
God,
did?
yeah.
It's so good. They were here at the Chicago Theater. I went to see the premiere of it. It was really, really good. I recommend everybody see it.
Yeah,
Today's episode is brought to you by John Candy.
John Candy's right. My wife and I watched it
on Amazon Prime.
It was very good, by the way. Well, hell, I was talking about the Blue Angels documentary that was very good as well that we watched this weekend. Listen, brother, I'm just gonna go right to it. Uncle Buck, yes, thank you. Devin just gave me a cue card. All right, here we go. I don't know where. There's a lot of things I can say about what's most recently come into your world, but the headline that I'll read is Trump is coming after my company now, and we're not backing down. So with that, I won't ask a question other than I'll make a statement. Tell us why, what, how this has come down. I won't try to explain it because it's your company that they're coming after. But I know our listeners will want to hear from you in terms of what's happening and how we're going to fight back.
Yeah. I'm happy to talk about it to the extent that I can because the matter is considered ongoing. So there's certain things I can't talk about. But,
right.
And I wasn't expecting this New York Times story to drop on a Saturday morning, thus screwing up my plans to go kayaking with my son. But here's the bottom line, guys, is that over the last couple of years, like for folks that don't know me, I'm a Democratic strategist. I've been working for Democratic candidates for 20 years, like Adam Schiff and Gretchen Whitmer and Kamala Harris and a whole bunch of others. And I run one of the largest digital fundraising and advertising firms in the space. In the 2024 presidential election during Trod's Trump case, Laura Loomer created a crazy conspiracy theory about my business funneling money to the judge in the Trump fraud case. It has no basis or merit. It's completely ridiculous. She's a joke of a human being. I feel sorry for her more than anything else. But because Donald Trump is obsessed with her, they've long been rumored to have an inappropriate relationship, is what I've been told. I don't actually know if it's true or not. She's been able to get the House Judiciary Committee to open up an investigation into my company in 2024 that we then had to fight very publicly. It's the only reason I became a content creator and a public person in the first place. I was a private person before that. I would long for my privacy again so that this stuff doesn't happen anymore. And then, as the New York Times reported this morning, Donald Trump's Department of Justice is also investigating that. And it's crap. It's just an absolute waste of time. It's harassment of a private citizen, several private citizens because of their political beliefs. There's nothing improper or untoward that's happened here. It's just an absolute waste of time. And I think, to me, I can get into the details of it if that's useful to folks. I think the details are kind of boring. There's just not any there. But what I will say is they're abusing the power of the federal government to come after me and my staff. We have faced death threats. Laura Luber, again, has personally threatened me. I had to have the Chicago Police Department come and protect my house for a few days after she sent me a threat against me and my 7-year-old son, which was disgusting. That was last year that happened. This has just been going on and off for years now, and I'm just trying to do my work and keep my staff and my family safe. And it's really all you could do in the moment. But there's nothing happening at Donald Trump's DOJ that is about keeping you safe. It is literally all about political retribution and keeping Donald Trump out of prison. That's the whole ball game for them. The guy's stealing billions of your dollars in taxpayer dollars. He is, they're not going after terrorists or drug dealers or sex traffickers or anybody in the Epstein class. They're going after Don Lemon, and they're going after Mike Nellis, and they're going after an Olympic canoeist who they're lying and claiming destroyed Donald Trump's Lincoln Memorial pool. It's just really stupid stuff. And I just can't wait until this moment of American politics are done. And we get a Democratic president again that can actually use the DOJ to go after the very serious crimes Donald Trump and his family and his people are committing, because that's what's actually happening.
Well, to that end, Mike, and thank you for that. And I understand when there's a case involved that the details, we can't dig into that too much. So we can stop there on that level of the details. But I want to come back to what you said, which everybody has to pay attention to. I believe it was last week, I asked the question, now that Todd Blanchard, my question of the day, has been confirmed, who will be the next person that the DOJ will go after for Donald Trump as a form of retribution? I honestly, I didn't have you on my bingo card because I picked some other folks. I didn't have you on the bingo card, man. But listen, here we are. And
in full transparency, this has been going on for more than a little while, and I just wasn't able to talk about it publicly.
No, I know.
Again, I still can only talk about like 10% of it. But
I knew that it was.
Can't blame Todd Blanchard for this one.
No, you can't.
As far as I know.
But you can. You can, but you can't. I mean, but to that end, it's the New York Times dropped the article, and there you go. But the deep breath on this is that, as an article was written, Todd Blanchard's out to destroy the DOJ. And that is true. I mean, this was posted by a good friend of mine, Sarah Jones from Politicus USA, and she said very clearly he refused to say that the DOJ would be independent of Trump. That's all we need to hear, y'all, is that the DOJ is that historically. Now, there are some norms that need to be challenged by all of us in terms of how our federal government and our state and local governments are run that are not part of the Constitution or the bylaws of that jurisdiction. There's some things that we all need to look at and go, you know what, maybe that needs to be changed. But the DOJ has, as long as I've been alive, and certainly in your lifetime, their objective for all of us has been to have some objectivity and some separation between quote unquote church and state. That doesn't exist now. The line has not been blurred. Todd Blanchard didn't blur the line. He's actually on the other side of that. And so this is where we all have to be mindful. I ask everybody every day, don't get so unplugged that you forget that they're equipped now to come after individuals who are doing the work of pushing back against this administration.
And they've been proven to be liars about it too. Like they have been found lying to grand juries before and had cases thrown out because of those lies. And like, look, you can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. So like the fact that they sent me,
they darn near did with the dude. That would have been the
sandwich guy.
The guy that threw the sandwich, right? I mean,
they took sandwich guy to court. The judge had to throw that out.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Go ahead.
Like, I mean, listen, if you're out there, don't throw sandwiches at cops. But
unless you're trying to get them fed.
I mean, yeah, right. Unless you're trying to feed them. I mean, I just it was so stupid. Just everything about this administration is just the dumbest possible thing that could possibly be happening at any given time. Todd Blanchard appeared at a political rally on Friday, right? Yeah. For Donald Trump. Like, I mean, could you imagine if Merrick Garland had done that? Yeah. I mean, it would just, the meltdown from the right would be justifiably correct. Like Merrick Garland and no Democratic attorney general should be showing up at political events, but we're through the looking glass now. Like, I don't even know how you repair the damage that's been done here, because what's necessary for the next Democratic administration, and I think at this point, Donald Trump is basically, and who knows what happens in the next 2 years, but like, because Democrats are really good at screwing things up, and maybe Trump will pull off a miracle and the economy will suddenly get better. I doubt it. But like, it seems pretty likely that the next president will be a Democrat, barring some, massive crazy thing happening. And the question is, what type of Democrat are we going to elevate in the party? Are we going to do a technocrat again? Are we going to rebuild the federal government? Like, that was the value proposition of Joe Biden's 2020 presidential election, right? Like, I'm just going to get us back on track. There'll be days when you forget who I am. Like, that was what we wanted. I don't think we can afford to do that again. Like, I think the level of criminality that has been exposed inside Donald Trump's administration and really in society writ large necessitates us putting in the meanest, and I can't curse on the show. I
the
really
meanest MFer out there.
Meanest MFer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Out there. You know, I just know anytime I'm on the radio, there's one person who's hovering over like the little button to like make sure that we don't get you guys fined like $20,000. But like I want a mean SOB attorney general that's going to go after these people, and I want them to go after the criminals in our own party too. Like Henry Cuellar should probably be in prison right now. Instead, he's going to cruise to re-election because Donald Trump pardoned him, and I think that was grotesquely inappropriate.
Yeah.
There are lots of Democratic members of Congress that are insider trading right now. The corruption is not one-sided, but one is basically like a hot day in Arizona, and the other one is the service of the sun. That's the difference. It's just so much worse, and we've lost that independence. I don't know how you get it back. I mean, Biden's DOJ prosecuted Joe Biden's own son. They prosecuted Hunter Biden. Could you imagine them even investigating any of the number of crimes we know that Trump's idiot kids are committing?
Well, and that's the thing behind this BBC situation, where I think that at the end of the day, part of why the pushback is taking place there from him is not so much, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this, but it's a combo platter of him pushing back against the BBC's request.
It's the worst combo platter I've ever had. I would not pay for it.
Well, then maybe I shouldn't use combo platters because combo platters are normally pretty good.
Take me to KFC instead. So.
There's combo platters there too. But no.
Combo platter I'd actually like.
I think it's him protecting, in some ways, his kids. Because he knows what dirt that they've done and what's going to be revealed about them if the BBC's request were to go through and be fulfilled. I mean, I could be wrong there. I'm putting that out there because it's a thought bubble for me. But circling back to your point, I don't think that people realize how seriously off the rails we are when it comes to what not only Trump has done, but what his kids have done. And this thing with Jared's brother and the Lakers, and I mean, I read that the only reason that that's taking place, I just read this over the weekend, is because the guy, Mark, what's his name? There's some tax finagling that's going on, and that the reason that they pressured him to sell the Lakers, because if he didn't, that they were going to step in and expose that he was being investigated, but not that there were actually any real crimes. And once again, Todd Blanche is behind this garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard that. I'm going to look into it now because it sounds serious, but that would not surprise me at all. I mean, one thing that they are definitely trying to do is they want to create a permanent oligarchy in the country, right? That has full control of everything. It has all the resources. It already basically exists. Let's just be honest about that, because so many of these billionaire rich guys are just playing both sides. I mean, how many of them are donating to Democratic and Republican candidates at the same time, which in my opinion necessitates, us really as a party, like deciding who we're about and who we're fighting for, because it's either working class people or it's going to be this wealthy elite class. And I think they've chosen their side in the Republican Party. And given the Epstein stuff and the corruption, I just don't think it's tolerable anymore. You've got to prove to us that you're a good human being. Otherwise we're coming after you. That's just kind of where I'm at on it. Like, I think you lose the benefit of the doubt in this moment. And there is a massive concentration of wealth and power and influence in this country. And like, we need, back to the MF or attorney general that we need, I want to break up some monopolies. Mm-hmm. I want to just absolutely smash these concentrations of power. And frankly, I'm at a point where I would be seizing assets at this point. I mean, if they're going to manipulate the federal government to steal billions and billions of dollars to build buildings and take jets and acquire the Lakers, apparently, which, by the way, I hate the Lakers, just another reason to hate them. While you're at it, Jared Kushner, if you'd like to buy the Yankees, that would be great too. I can also hate on the Yankees. Just leave the Cubs alone. Ricketts family, don't do it.
But we could go down the path of the Ricketts family and boy.
Listen, I can't think about it. I just want to enjoy the season.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's take
a Ricketts family. If you're listening, get some more pictures, please.
Yeah. All right. Hold your Potter. We're going to take a quick break, Mike. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back with more of Chu's Views. All right, guys, welcome back to Chu's Views. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with our good friend Mike Nellis, Democratic strategist, and dude that said, I got my dukes up now. If you're coming after me, then I'm going to be ready for the fight. That's right. Mike and I are shadow boxing, and we're dancing like we're in a John Candy movie, but that would be a late John Candy.
People can't see, I was trying to do Street Fighter. for anybody out there that's just trying
to. But you had your dukes up. That's what matters. We've got folks that are fighting and winning in different elections right now. We've seen so many different things that have taken place in some of the primaries. And my question is a broad question, but I'll try to zero in a little bit. I'm tired of the infighting, quote unquote, like, okay, so-and-so is not going to be good for the party because of, and then fill in the blanks. The Crowley clip that I played early is representative of where we have to be. Democrats who have not won the primary, then some of the, and probably the big 2 or big 3 Senate elections, have stepped up and said, I'm down with the person that won. Representative Crockett stepped in and said, I'm behind James Tallarico. No questions asked. She didn't wait 3 weeks to do it. She did it the next day. Same thing happened in Michigan with Mallory McMorrow and Haley Stevens. They got right in line and said, listen, we have to win the seat. I don't have to agree with Dr. Syed all the time or on everything. And, you know, Francesca Hong did it in Wisconsin with regard to Crowley. That has got to be the case now. We got 80 days and 82 days? Is it something like that?
82.
For most of these elections. And my message to everybody, yeah, we can say, all right, we didn't get that right, but this is not the time to be, you know, tearing everything up and blowing everything up. If we truly believe, I mean, you and I approach this differently. We agree that the finish line is our goal. We approach it differently, but at some point, you and I have to do like a good football team has to do an offensive line, and that's shoulder up. So that's what I want to hear coming from everybody's mouth right now, is to shoulder the hell up and let's get across the line. And then after we get across the line, then we can sit down together and go, man, I can't stand what you said, but we got across the finish line. I mean, it's just,
right.
You know what I mean, Mike? Am I being crazy here?
Yeah, I mean, I've been shouting at anybody who's trying to relitigate these fights to lock the F in is basically what I shout at people on the internet, because any Democrat is better than any Republican. Period.
Right now.
And we have like, exactly. For sure. Well, I think any day,
true.
Any Democrat is better than a Republican. But like, you know, it's like we've had back-to-back weeks with massive primaries where I think everybody handled themselves correctly, right? Like nobody on the planet probably running for office has more to complain about their treatment than Haley Stevens. Like Haley Stevens, as much as she was not my candidate, Mallory McMorrow too. I mean, Mallory was my candidate. Haley was certainly not my candidate, not my flavor of Democrat, but the way she was treated online by a lot of Abdul supporters was gross. And she could have gone right out and just like, you know, hit them hard and been, you know, very ungracious in defeat. And instead she came right out and said, I'm endorsing Abdul. I'm going to campaign for him. Like, it's important we beat Mike Rogers. That's the right way to do it. Francesca Hong, in my opinion, kind of blew it down the stretch there. I think that race was hers to lose, and she kind of screwed it up in that final week with that Thanksgiving stuff and the Oppo drop. But, you know, she showed up at the morning unity breakfast. That's what you do. So when you see people online right now that are still arguing about these primaries, are still arguing about the 2016 presidential primary between Bernie and Hillary Clinton, like, just ignore them. They're trying to sell you stuff. They're trying to just generate, you know, money, creator rewards, attention, whatever you want to call it, just by getting you mad about something that doesn't matter anymore. Like Bernie, Hillary 2016 doesn't matter. And by the way, if we're going to get mad at something, I want to talk about what happened to Howard Dean in 2004.
Thank you.
Because I'm still mad about that. And thought that was crap.
I was just saying that this weekend. Yeah, sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
I was talking to some folks this weekend about that as it relates to the 50-state strategy. Like I said, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't you been around for a minute? This is not the new. Howard Dean, because he had a moment of physical exhaustion and excitement, got panned as some, you know, crazy lunatic. When in fact, what he was saying then, not just the words, but the content beneath it or below it, whatever, was right on point. And that's where we have to be in the space around coming together. And I think that the strategy, or a version of that strategy, in terms of, I'm going to go to the entire district, I'm going to knock on doors in the entire district, not just the part that I think likes me. I'm going to knock on doors in the entire state. I'm going to go all over the state rather than just in the part that's going to give me the most percentage of votes, is working for so many people that are winning. And that's, I guess you could say that's a child of what Howard Dean talked about. All parts of the voting block matter.
Yeah, well, and Republicans organize everywhere. Like, they don't really give up on places. Like, they're trying to win and squeeze out everything that they can. We should be doing that too. I'll also just add one thing on all these naysayers out there that are just attacking and fomenting dissent inside the Democratic Party. And the best example of this is a guy named Michael LaRussa. who was Jill Biden's press secretary, and I think has just burned every bridge inside the Democratic Party. Like, a lot of them are just trying to get on Fox News so that they can crap on Democrats. Like, that's what it is. It's like anytime I turn on the TV and there's a clip of like some Democrat crapping on the party, it's almost always like Andrew Cuomo's deputy chief of staff, blah, blah, blah. And they always work at a lobbying firm that's associated with Donald Trump, which they do not disclose. So again, there are a lot of people that are playing their own game and ignore them. Like, part of the reason that, I started going on Fox News and Newsmax and these other places is, one, we needed some Democrats with a little bit of fight to go out there and advocate for our values and belief system in the face of, some really crazy people that lie about us all day long. But because there's way too many Democrats where the only way they get on Fox News is by crapping on other Democrats. Like, John Fetterman's on Fox News 5 times a day instead of doing his job. We need a couple of people that are going to be going into the lion's den like that and take on Republicans and take on their worldview. So that's how I've chosen to approach it. But just know that, like, when you see people out there complaining about it, it's because they're being paid to complain about it. Like, most Democrats, 99.9% of us are locked in, understand this moment in time, understand what Trump is doing to the economy, to our military. God, the story about the USS Abraham is heartbreaking and really angering what's happening to those sailors. If you're arguing about fractional differences in our healthcare policies, like, just get over it. I'm sorry. We can fight about that in primaries. I think primaries are good. I think we should argue about that stuff. It's not unimportant, but in the general, get over it.
This is that time. If there's, the phrase of this is the most important election of our lifetime. Okay, yes, this is the most important time that we put down all the garbage and come together. Right. As much as this is the most important election, it's the most important moment for us to say, we got to have a Remember the Titans movie, since you and I are referencing movies. I said that last week. Go watch that movie.
Hayden Panettiere passed away yesterday.
I know. That's heartbreaking as hell that took place. People don't remember.
Cardiac arrest at 36. Like, what happened? I'd like to know what
happened. Man, I'm just going to say this. I thought about cats that are younger than me like you and I thought about guys that work here at the station that are in their 30s. And I'm like, that's heartbreaking to see.
I texted my wife right before we went live after seeing that it was cardiac arrest and going, I'm scheduling an appointment with my cardiologist. Like, I was like, that's scary.
It is. So the big message before we get to the end, I want to give Mike some time to talk about something that's going on. Listen, y'all, if you have medical coverage, and let's hope that you do, please do not take your health without the seriousness because we're all under some subtle stress right now. We all are. I got a text from a listener earlier. He laundry listed it about how bad this administration is hurting him financially, physically, and meaning healthcare, emotionally. Please, y'all, especially men. And now we see she's 36 years old. Please, y'all, go get checked out. Don't think that you can fight the beast because some of the stress that we're dealing with, we aren't showing physical signs of it. If you feel a certain way, please go get checked out. I mean, I'm being a little preachy there, but that's because what this happened is like, damn, she's young enough to be my daughter. And, that's a whole nother conversation.
Even think about what happened to Lindsey Graham. Okay. And like, I didn't care for Lindsey Graham in this world, but like an aortic dissection is a really scary thing, but it is actually treatable if they find it early enough. They can fix it. Yep. But he didn't feel good and he laid down on the couch and died. Like, that's what happened. Like, you just take that stuff seriously. And I wish, again, that we lived in a country where people didn't have to make a choice between, an ambulance
pay the rent or
paying their rent. But,
yeah.
Because I had, in the middle of one of my shows last year in the summer, I had like a stroke-like symptom. Now, it was a reaction to heat because remember, it was really hot last summer.
Yeah.
It was a reaction to the heat and some new meds that I was taking. I just like started slurring my words for about a minute. And I, without hesitation, picked up the phone, called an ambulance, went to the doctor. It would have cost me like $30,000. When I got the bill, now it only cost me like whatever my copay was. But like, thank God I had that. But imagine if I had to think about it, It's just, it's a terrible way to handle.
And by the
society.
way, folks that want to get after Democrats all the time, we support making sure that that's a universal thing so we don't have to have that question. Yes. That's what we stand on. That's what we stand on. That's the business we stand on. Mike, you got some new news to announce. I want to give you a second to do that before we wrap up today.
Yeah, well, for folks that want to get involved locally, I'm stepping up into a new role here in the city of Chicago. So each ward has their committeeman that helps run the Democratic Party and facilitates the democracy in the neighborhood. So I'm stepping up to take over that role in my neighborhood, Ward 32 area. So if you live in Ward 32 and you want to get involved, I don't have a website yet, so I don't have anywhere to send you. Find me on social media. I will have a website. I will have a logo, all of that. Alderman Wagaspak is the one who's been doing it for a while. He's stepping over, handing it up to me so we can focus on his duties. And we're having our first event this weekend. So send me a message on any of my social media platforms. I'll send you the invite to it so you can find it. It's going to be great. We're going to build a nice little organization. We're going to focus on mutual aid. Our very first event that we're putting together, we already have like 27 people who have RSVP'd to come to our content studio, which is where I am right now. We're gonna make hygiene kits for kids in the neighborhood who are experiencing homelessness heading into the school year. I really wanted our first event to be something giving back and not something like overtly political. So I think we're going to do some really cool stuff. And if anybody wants to get involved, I need bodies. I need precinct captains. I need help. And it's going to be an entirely different thing. I spend so much time on the internet ranting about politics. I'm going to step up and put my money where my mouth is for a little while.
Well, you've done that. This is just another version of that. So kudos to you, my man, for stepping into that space. You know, I support you in that way. And keep your dukes up because, you know, they be coming. So stay strong, as I know you will. Mike Nellis, y'all, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Be safe. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks, Richard. Appreciate you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. As always, it's great to have everybody with us. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. Take a deep breath and make your life count. We will see you tomorrow.